Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and, well, oh, no, I didn't want to shut it, no, but yeah, thank you, Lelouch, for sending me this so much, but, yeah, yeah. This is what's going to be happening in this video. I'm going to be reading it. It's actually just like the Stolen Throne, except you guys get to see what the heck I'm reading. Yeah, it shows the bios of some of the characters. Okay. Now then, if you don't want this type of video, that's fine. Just, I guess, dislike it. I guess. It'd be a way of showing you don't want it. Or if you want me to do a different light novel that, that I've already done the show for, at the very least, caught up with the show or whatever, like Konosuba, for example, or No Game No Life, Overlord, there's a bunch of them out there. Sword Art Online, I'm not doing that one. Not anytime soon. Ari Ferretta as well is one of them, because I know they cut out a lot of stuff from that one. Lelouch, if you've got the Ari Ferretta From Commonplace to World's Strongest light novel, I'll take that one too. Okay, we are going to do the prologue. In this one, hopefully. Let me just see what time it is first, so I can kind of time how long it takes me to do this. Because when I do this sort of thing, I keep doing it until, my throat starts to get scratchy, and then I stop for the time being. Here's hoping I can stop at a decent time. Overlord Volume 1, Prologue. The knight in full plate armor stood before the girl and her little sister, his sword raised high. His blade gleamed in the sun, and he poised himself, ready to end their lives in a single merciful stroke. Really? Merciful? After what y'all did? That ain't merciful. The girl squeezed her eyes tightly shut and bit her lower lip. She had never asked for this. She had been forced into her present circumstances. If only she had some strength, she might have resisted the enemy in front of her and fled. However, the girl did not have that strength. I mean, you tried to flee. Thus, there could only be one outcome to this situation. That would be the girl's death at this very place. The longsword fell, and yet there was no pain. The girl gingerly opened her eyes, which had been squeezed shut. The first thing she saw was a suddenly motionless longsword. Then she saw the sword's owner. The knight in front of her was frozen in place, his eyes looking somewhere off to the girl's side. His completely defensive posture clearly displayed the fear that filled him. As though drawn by the knight's gaze, the girl could not help but turn and look in the same direction as him. And so, the girl gazed upon despair. What she saw was darkness. It was an infinitesimally... I can't read. Some of these words I can't pronounce. I'm sorry. If I mess up on something on pronunciations from the show or whatever, I apologize. But yeah. It was a thin yet unfathomably deep blackness. It was a half oval of obsidian that seemed to protrude from the earth. It was a mysterious sight that filled the ones watching it with a powerful sense of unease. Was it a door? The girl could not help but think so after she saw what lay before her. As her heart lurched, the girl's conjecture was confirmed. Something seemed to be coming out of that shadowy passage. And in that moment, it resolved itself in her eyes. Okay, I don't know what the heck she just said here, but, I'm not shrieking. I'm not doing it. A deafening shriek came from the girl. It was an opponent humanity could not overcome. Oh, yeah. I have to agree. Twin points of crimson light, crimson, oh my god, I cannot read! That's what happens when I read when I first wake up in the morning. Twin points of crimson light burned brightly within the empty orbits of a bleached skull. These 2 points of light coldly scanned the girl and the others present like a predator sizing up its prey. Within its fleshless hands, it grasped a magic staff that seemed divine in nature, yet inspired dread in equal measure. It was like a crystallization of all the beauty in the world. It wore an intricately detailed black robe, and it resembled nothing as much as an incarnation of death, born from the darkness of another world. Oh, you have no idea. In an instant, the air seemed to freeze. It was as though time itself had stood still in the wake of a supreme being's advent. The girl forgot to breathe, as if the sight had stolen her soul away. Then, in this silent world, the girl began choking and gasped for air. This avatar of death must have manifested itself in order to guide her to the underworld. No, he's your savior. It was only natural to think so, but then the girl who thought this way suddenly realized that something was wrong. That was because the knight who had been planning to kill her from behind was now completely still. I'm not reading all the sounds of pain, guys. I wouldn't even know how to do that. Or rather, I wouldn't know how to do it convincingly. A cry that sounded like a wall crept into her ears. Or a wail. Not like a... What the fuck? A cry that sounded like a wall. What the fuck would that even sound like? Oh my god, you guys are gonna be entertained. Just from my mishaps alone. From whose mouth had that sound come from? It felt like it could have been hers or her little sister shivering in fright, or from the mouth of the knight who had been about to kill her. Actually, it was the latter. A skeletal hand slowly extended itself, its fingers spreading as though reaching for something, and they moved past the girl toward the knight behind her. She wanted to look away from it, but her fear kept her gaze in place. She had the feeling that if she averted her eyes, she would see a far more horrible sight instead. Grasp heart. And I am assuming that it being in brackets like that is like a telepathically thing. I think that's supposed to show a spell, I'm guessing. The incarnation of death clenched its fist, and the girl heard the sound of crunching metal from behind her. Her eyes did not lead the figure of death, but driven by her curiosity, the girl wrenched her eyes away and saw the body of the knight. He was sprawled motionless on the floor, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Floor? Don't you mean ground? He was dead. There was no doubt that he was dead. The danger that had almost claimed the girl was no more. But this was no cause for celebration. The death that stalked her had merely taken a more concrete shape. That death drew close to the girl, who watched it with terrified eyes. The darkness in her field of vision grew ever larger. It's going to swallow me up. As the girl thought this, she clutched her sister tightly to herself. The notion of escape no longer existed within the girl's head. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to escape. If her opponent were human, she might be able to cling to some faint hope and struggle desperately for her life. But the being before her shattered that hope like spun glass. Please, at least let me die without pain. That was all the girl could hope for. Her shuddering sister hugged her tightly. All she could do was apologize for her weakness, for being unable to protect her sister's life. She prayed that her sister would not be lonely as they went on to the afterlife, because they would be traveling there together. And then... we get a nice shot of Albedo. What is she standing in front? What the heck is this? What the heck is this supposed to be? I don't know how far I'm gonna be able to get into this one, but we will see. Overlord Volume 1, Chapter 1, The End and the Beginning, Part 1. In the year 2138 AD, there was a term, DMMORPG. That word was an acronym for Dive Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. These games are played by connecting a dedicated console to the brain via a neuronal nano interface. I'm getting my words mixed up. See, this is what happens when I record something like this. I'm gonna start coughing. An intracerebral nanocomputer network created from the fusion of cyber and nanotechnology. I wonder if we could ever get something like this in our world. That'd be cool. There were games that allowed one to enter a virtual world and experience it as though it were real life. And among the myriad DMMORPGs that thronged the market, one of them stood head and shoulders above the others. Yggdrasil. This game had been painstakingly developed and released 12 years ago in 2126. I would love to play a game like that. That would be amazing. Even if it wasn't a dive game, that would be awesome from the way they've described it so far in the novel that I've read so far. I've gotten up to page 185, I think. And we are currently on page 6. Really? Page 16? How is that possible? Hang on. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, wow. Okay. I am not complaining. I was just surprised. Okay, here we go. Compared to other DMMO-RPGs of the time, Yggdrasil's selling point was player freedom. It had over 2,000 basic and advanced job classes. There is no way we are ever getting a game like this in this technology that we have so far. This sounds like something that you would require several discs to play, and even then, it would just be a massive game that I don't think anybody's computer or even console would be able to handle, even if you had just that thing on it. Yeah, this is going to be something we are never probably going to see in our lifetimes, which sucks. Every class had a maximum of 15 levels, and so in order to reach the overall level cap of 100, one would need to take at least 7 different classes. However, players could take as many classes as they wanted, as long as they made each class's prerequisites. A player could even take 100 classes at level 1 each, so that was very inefficient. Yeah. As such, in this system, it was virtually impossible to make identical characters unless someone was deliberately trying to do so. Yeah. Considering you have over how many classes? Over 2,000 basic and advanced job classes. There is no way you'd be able to make an identical character unless you deliberately tried to do so. In addition, one could use various creator tools, sold separately, to fully customize one's armor, weaponry, flavor text, appearance, and other cosmetic settings. A vast playing field awaited its players. There were 9 worlds in total. I am going to butcher some of these. I apologize. Asgard, Alfheim. Really? Alfheim? What? You're ripping off a Sword Art Online? Vanaheim, Nidavellir, Midgard, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Helheim, and Muspelheim. I'm butchering that last one, but at least the others I kind of got it right. If I'm wrong, let me know. It boasted a massive world, numerous classes, and freely customizable appearances. Great! Hello? Nope, nothing. These features ignited the creative spirits of its Japanese players and sparked what would later be known as a stylistic revolution. So popular was it that whenever the word DMMO-RPG was mentioned in Japan, listeners would immediately think of Yggdrasil. Still, all these were things of the past now. A gigantic table carved from gleaming black stone sat in the center of the... Oh my god! Hang on. Hello? I got some stupid earrings. Oh well, it ain't that big a deal, it's just a little editing. A gigantic table carved of gleaming black stone sat in the center of the room, surrounded by 41 luxurious chairs. However, most of those chairs were empty. Once every single place had been filled, but now only 2 were occupied. One of the seated people was clothed in a magnificent black academic robe, edged in violet and gold. The color seemed excessively gaudy, but somehow it fit the overall design. However, the exposed head was a bare skull. Points of dark red light glowed in its large orbits, and behind the skull glowed a halo of black radiance. The being in the other seat was not human either, merely a mass of black sticky substance. Its tar-like surface rolled and writhed continuously, never staying in one shape for more than a second. The former was an Overlord, the highest ranked of these magic casters who had become undead in order to learn the most potent spells. The latter was an Elder Black. I was actually wondering what that guy was in the show. What the heck it was. I thought it was some kind of slime creature. But yeah, it's an Elder Black Ooze, which boasts the most powerful corrosive ability of the slime families. Okay, so it was a kind of slime. Okay. One might encounter these monsters in the most difficult dungeons. Overlords could use powerful spells of the highest tiers of magic, while Elder Black Oozes were dreaded for their ability to degrade weapons and armor. However, they were not game monsters, but players. In Yggdrasil, players could choose their character races from 3 broad groups: humanoid, demi-human, and heteromorphic. Humanoids were the most basic player type and comprised humans, dwarves, wood elves, and the like. Demi-humans tended to be ugly, but possessed superior ability attributes to humanoids. Examples of demi-humans were goblins, beastmen, ogres, and so on. Finally, heteromorphic races had monstrous abilities, but despite their stats being generally higher than those of other races, they also possessed various drawbacks. There were around 700 playable races in total, including the advanced versions of these races. Naturally, the Overlord and Elder Black Ooze were among the high-tier heteromorphic races that were playable. The Overlord, who was speaking at the moment, did not move his mouth. That was because even the most advanced DMMORPG of the time could not overcome the technological hurdle of properly modeling the changes on a character's face in response to emotions and speech. So essentially, the faces don't really change. It's really been a while. Hero-san? Really? Who names their well, then again, there is a character in the game called Touch Me. What the fuck? What the fuck are these people? Who comes up? Who says, oh, I'm gonna use my hero name as Touch Me? Really? Who does that? What the fuck? Then again, people have done worse with usernames. There are probably people who use, sexual stuff in their username, so... Well, it depends on the game, I guess, if you could. It's really been a while, Hero-san. Though this is the last day of Yggdrasil, I didn't expect you to show up. Indeed it has, Momonga-san. The two of them spoke with the voices of grown men, but compared to the voice of the former, the latter's words lacked force, or perhaps it could be said they lacked energy. You stopped coming online after you changed your job in real life, so how long has it been? About 2 years? Seems about right. It's been so long, this is bad. I've been doing so much overtime recently that my sense of time is starting to go weird. That's not good. Yeah, you don't want that. That's really bad, right? Are you okay? My body? Well, it's a mess. I haven't had to see a doctor yet, but I'm almost there. It's really bad. That's not good. Yeah, you really need to see a doctor when it comes to work, because if you don't do something about stress, it'll kill you. A lot of times I feel like I want to run away from it all, but then I think how I need money to live, and then I go back to work like a whipped slave. Great. The Overlord of Momonga lowered his head in an I can't take it gesture. That's terrible. It is. As someone who works in retail and is now a key holder and works essentially 30-something hours a week, if not more, yeah, I understand the feel. As though following up on Momonga's comment, Hero delivered a grim monologue, his words laced with unimaginable reality. The two of them griped loudly about the foolishness they encountered in their working lives. Subordinates who did not know how to report, communicate, and discuss things. Spreadsheets that changed by the day. Scoldings by their superiors for not meeting various KPIs. I'm assuming that's... what's a KPI? Can somebody let me know, please? Working late every day until they could not go home. Gaining weight because of their irregular lifestyles and the increasing amount of medicine they had to take every day. Great! Hero's grievances burst forth like a broken dam. Momonga lent his ear to him. A lot of people would be averse to discussing reality in a virtual world. It was fairly normal for people to not want to talk about their offline lives in a game. Yeah. However, this was not so for the two of them. The guild they belonged to, a group that was founded and managed by players, Ainzul Gon, had 2 conditions that each of its members had to fulfill. The first was that everybody had to be a functioning member of society. Yeah. The other was that they had to play heteromorphic characters. Because of these rules, the topics they discussed often revolved around their jobs in the real world. Any member of the guild would field these questions, and as such, the conversations between the two could be considered standard fare for the guild. After about 10 minutes, the torrent of words that flowed from Hero dwindled to a trickle. I'm sorry for making you listen to my whining. I can't complain much in real life. The place corresponding to Hero's head seemed to sway as though he were bowing in apology. Thus, Momonga replied, Don't worry about it, Hero-san. I made you come online despite you being busy, so listening to your complaints is only expected. I'll hear you out no matter how many you have. It's always good to have someone who you can vent to. Because if you don't vent, then you're going to just keep it bottled up until it comes out in a bad way. Hiro seemed to have recovered some of his old energy, and with a somewhat more energetic laugh, he replied, I'm grateful for that, Momonga-san. I'm glad I can meet a friend after signing in. I'm very happy to hear you say that too. Although, it's about time for me to log off. Hiro's tentacle wagged in midair as though he were operating something. Indeed, he was operating a menu. You're right, it is getting pretty late. I'm sorry about this, Momonga-san. Momonga sighed gently as though he didn't want Hiro to sense the regret in his heart. Well, if it's like that, then it's a shame. Time flies so fast when you're having fun. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I really did want to stay with you to the end, but I'm about to fall asleep. Well, you do sound pretty tired. Then you should log out soon and have a good rest. I'm really sorry, Momonga-san. Although, how long do you plan to stay, guild leader? I intend to stay on until I was automatically logged out once the server shut down. Since it's still a ways off, maybe someone might come by in the meantime. Is that so? Still, I really didn't expect this place to be so well preserved. At this moment, Momonga was grateful that he had no way to show his expressions. If he did, Hiro would have probably seen his face twist up. Even then, his voice would betray him how he truly felt, so Momonga kept quiet, in order to suppress the feelings surging up within him. He had worked hard to maintain the guild precisely because he had built it up along with everybody else. But hearing the words like these from none of his guild members sparked a mix of complicated emotions in his heart. However, these feelings dispersed like mist as Hiro continued. Momonga-san, you must have kept the guild going as its leader, so we could come back to it at any time. Thank you very much. It's because it was a guild built by everybody, so it was my job as guild master to keep things going so that the members can come back at any time. Yes, we had fun with the game because you were our guild master, Momonga-san. I hope that when we meet again, it'll be in Yggdrasil too. I haven't heard anything about a second game, but like you said, I'll be glad if we can meet like this. Or meet like that. I look forward to it. I'm having trouble staying awake. I think I'll log off first. I'm glad I could meet you at the end. Good night. Momonga wanted to say something, but he hesitated for a moment, and then he spoke. I was very happy to meet you too. Good night. A smiley appeared over Hiro's head. Since characters in Yggdrasil could not express emotions through their facial expressions, they used emoticons instead. Momonga worked his control interface and performed a similar smiley. Hiro's last words were, "Let's meet up again somewhere." And so, the last of the 3 guild members to come online tonight vanished. Wait, who was the third one then? Because he just said 3. It was him and Hiro. So who was the third one? Come on, give us some info on that. Silence descended once more. It was as though nobody had even been there in the first place. Nothing was left behind. Momonga looked at the place where Hiro had been sitting, and he muttered the words he wanted to say. Today's the last day of the game. I know you're tired, but we'll never have a chance like this again. Why don't we stay together till the end? Yeah, you wish you could have. Then you would have experienced all this. Of course, there was no response because Hiro had already returned to reality. Momonga's sigh come from the bottom of his heart. In the end, it was better that it had remained unsaid. During the brief exchange, he could already tell how tired Hiro was from the sound of his voice. Still, despite his fatigue, Hiro had still responded to the email he had sent and logged on for the last day of Yggdrasil before it closed down. Why are they shutting it down? I don't get that, because apparently it was so popular. Why would you shut down a popular game like that? Was it just too annoying to maintain when it comes to money? That's what I don't get. Because, for example, why Call of Duty, for example. It is such a profitable game that it would make no sense for them to stop making Call of Duty if it was an online thing and shut it down. That would make absolutely no sense. Anyway, he should have been grateful enough for that. Asking him to stay on would have just been a matter of being thick-skinned, but actively causing him trouble. Or would not just have been a matter of being thick-skinned, but actively causing him trouble too. Momonga stared at the seat Hiro had occupied until just now, and then turned to look at the other 39 seats. These were the places where his old comrades had once sat. After going a circle around the table, Momonga returned his eyes to Hiro's place. Let's meet up again somewhere, huh? Let's meet up again somewhere. See you again. He had heard these words several times before, but they had never come true. Nobody had ever returned to Yggdrasil. When and where will we meet again? Amunga's shoulders shook violently, and the words he could no longer hold back exploded forth. Are you kidding me? He pounded the table as he shouted. The Yggdrasil system registered this action as an attack and began the complex calculations of Amunga's barehanded attack strength against the table's defensive strength to determine the final total of damage inflicted. In the end, the area Amunga had struck him made it a simple 0. This is the great tomb of Nazarick that we built together. How could you abandon it just like that? After he shouted the words in his heart, the only thing left in there was emptiness. No, that's not right. They didn't abandon it lightly. They simply made the choice between reality and fantasy. It couldn't be helped. Nobody would betray the guild. Everybody who made that decision must have found it painful. Amunga muttered like he was trying to convince himself, and then he stood up. He walked towards the wall where an elaborately decorated magic staff was kept. 7 serpents twirled around the body of the staff, which resembled the Kurukine carried by Hermes Trismegistus. I cannot talk. I cannot talk some of these weird words. I'm guessing they're talking about the staff that Hermes usually carries in Greek mythology. I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. The serpent's mouths gasped open in agony, and each mouth held a gem of a different color. The grip was exquisitely carved out of crystal and glowed with blue light. Anyone who would be able to recognize the staff as a supremely high quality item, and it was a guild weapon that was unique to this guild. One could call it the symbol of Ainzul. The staff, which should have been a treasure held by the guildmaster, was instead kept in this room as a decoration. That was because there was nothing else which represented the guild quite like this. Guild weapons were typically kept hidden away in safe places and not used for their tremendous powers because a guild would be disbanded if its associated guild weapon was destroyed. Even Ainzul, a guild which existed at the peak of Yggdrasil, was no exception to this. This was the reason why the weapon had been kept here, and Amunga had never touched it, despite the fact that it had been tailor-made to complement his abilities. Amunga extended a hand to the staff but stopped halfway. This was because, at the moment, in the last minutes before Yggdrasil shut down for good, he realized that soon the glorious memories he had made with his comrades would be lost forever, like tears in rain. The confusion he felt over this made him hesitate as he struggled to come to a decision. How long has it been? Okay, I think, I'm gonna stop this for the time being. I got a decent way into it. Let me actually check real quick. Okay, yes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it and you hadn't subscribed already, feel free to do so, and I will see you guys next time.